Welcome to the Young Life Hub and the 2020 Greater Forsyth County Young Life Banquet. Whether you are at a watch party, you're gathered around the screen with your family at home, or you've come to join us for the drive-in experience, we are so glad you decided to spend this evening with us.
2020 has brought each of us unique challenges and opportunities. And while COVID-19 has certainly changed the ways that we connect and interact with kids, it hasn't changed our desire to reach them.
Our mission has remained unchanged, to introduce adolescents to Jesus Christ and help them grow in their faith. While our approach looks different, as we allow for proper social distancing and safety measures, we're still showing up in the lives of kids.
Through God's grace and your faithfulness, we have been able to continue ministry in 4 middle schools, 5 high schools, 2 colleges, as well as Capernaum and Young Lives. We currently have 45 wonderful volunteer leaders joining 6 full-time staff and 2 part-time staff pursuing kids in our community.
These leaders are made up of students at Wake Forest, young professionals, parents, and even grandparents in our community. While their backgrounds and experiences are unique, they share a love for Jesus and a desire to make him known to adolescents.
Also, we are incredibly thankful to the people in our community who come alongside us in the form of parent support teams, prayer warriors, and our local committee. Tonight's banquet would not happen without our 20 committee members and our banquet planning team, who worked tirelessly to make tonight happen.
Thanks, Lisa. So, whether you've been involved with Young Life for decades, or this is your first time getting a look at who we are, we hope that you leave encouraged that even in these difficult times, kids are still being reached.
So tonight, we want to pull back the curtain and give you guys an opportunity to get a glimpse into what God is doing in the lives of kids as Young Life leaders are continuing to show up on a daily basis. A lot of doors have been shut due to the pandemic, but God has opened wide new ones. We are doing drive-in style clubs, outdoor campaigner groups, virtual watch parties, and getting to just be face-to-face with kids. It's been incredible. And we still get to tell the story, the greatest love story of all time, that the God of the universe who created us loves us and longs for an intimate relationship with each of us.
So tonight's the night. We're so glad you came to join us. With special thanks to Glenn High School graduate and Young Life alum, Mr. Caleb Ennis, who's directing this for us. We're so excited you're here. Get ready for the wonderful world of Young Life. Forsyth County is full of rich history. The story is of a city that brought the towns of Winston and Salem together and claims its fame as the home of Chris Paul and Krispy Kreme donuts.
But there is much more to the story. The Twin City was founded in 1849, but now serves as a vibrant city of arts and innovation. Forsyth County is made up of about 386,000 people, covering Winston-Salem, Pofftown, Louisville, Clemens, Kernersville, Walkertown, and Waughtown. 15 high schools, 14 middle schools, 4 colleges, and several private schools.
When you pull back the landscape, the innovation, the differing victories, and places of deep brokenness in this community, you find stories of people, stories of adolescence.
The theme of the story is and always has been one of great need, where every single kid is a longing for someone to show up, to care, and to prove to them that there has to be something more than this.
Young Life has been in the business of good stories since 1941. And for 63 years in Forsyth County, there have been Young Life leaders engaged in the lives of adolescents. We've woken up early and stayed up late in order to show up in the lives of high schoolers, middle schoolers, college students, teen moms, and friends with varying needs.
As Young Life leaders, we get to walk with kids in the good times and the bad times. We get to celebrate after an amazing performance on stage or a great play in the field. We get to celebrate when they get into the college of their dreams. But we're also there when things go south, when there's a breakup.
Kids are dying to try to find their place, trying to prove to themselves and to the world around them that they are worth something. Some have been disappointed, forgotten, mistreated, and abandoned by those who were supposed to love them the most. Others are saturated with everything they could possibly need and more.
Yet, The common theme at the end of the day, when social media is silent and their heads hit the pillow, every kid is simply longing to be loved, understood, and to know that they have some form of purpose in this world.
Every kid is dying for someone to show up in their life and meet them exactly where they are, not with expectations or putting something else on top of them, but accepting them as who they are. And that is exactly what we get to do in Young Life.
Society often tells middle schoolers that they are annoying or that they are just too much. Wildlife leaders get to enter into the lives of kids and tell them that they are valued, that they are worth it, and that they are not a burden. We love to get to enter into this time because it's such a transformative and crucial time where kids develop. It would be such a miss to waste away the 3 years of middle school and just write it off and try to get through. But we want kids to thrive and to know and follow Jesus and experience the full life that's found in Him.
One of the darkest seasons of my life was during my time in college when I experienced devastating loss. I don't think I would have made it out of that season if it weren't for friends and leaders who came alongside me and reminded me of the great hope that we have in Jesus. Now I get to enter into the lives of college students in Winston-Salem and remind them of that same truth. I know how easy it is as a college student to lose your way and how tempting it is to put up a front that you have everything together. My desire as a Young Life College leader is to carry the gospel into the lives of college students. I want to help them experience the unconditional love of the Father, and my hope would be that they realize that their identity and their value is rooted in Christ.
I love hanging out with high school guys, whether it be at football practice, playing around at golf, or just grabbing a meal together. We want every kid to know that Jesus is absolutely crazy about them. And as Young Life leaders, we're committed to showing up and caring for them.
Currently, we have over 40 adults entering onto middle school, high school, and college campuses to build relationships with kids. We believe that every kid has a right to know the God of the universe who created them and desires to be in a relationship with each of them.
I am so passionate about being Young Life leaders because I look at these kids and I'm like, I see 17-year-old Ed, and we hope that we can be the ones that they call and we can point them to Jesus.
The heart and mission of Young Life is to introduce adolescents to Jesus Christ and help them grow in their faith.
Our vision is that there would be a Young Life leader in every kid's life and know them by name. Now is the time for people to get involved. We need people who have a heart for Jesus and a heart for younger generations. We need resources to make it happen. The need is urgent and critical because kids' lives matter for eternity.
In Young Life, one of the phrases we hold dear is that we want to enter into kids' worlds. We want to meet them on their turf, the places where they feel most comfortable and at home. And for me, that has meant spending a lot of times in boys' locker rooms before or after big games. And I have to be honest, while it's a privilege to get to stand there as the coach either celebrates with the team or commiserates after a tough loss, there are times where it's been hazardous to my health. I mean, just think about the stench that comes up off of all those pads and jerseys from a group of high school boys. I mean, let's be honest, if you look in the dictionary and you look up the word hygiene, you're not going to see the picture of a teenage boy right next to it. But before I go patting myself on the back for entering into some nasty situations, I'm reminded that Jesus entered much more difficult ordeals than I ever will. We see lots of encounters in Scripture where he met people at their worst. He entered into the difficulty, and he entered into some really smelly and hard places as well. The story I want to share with you comes from the book of John chapter 5, where Jesus enters Jerusalem. It says, sometime later he went in for the feast of the Jews. Now there is in Jerusalem near the sheep gate a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda, and which is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. Here a great number of disabled people used to lie, the blind, the lame, the paralyzed. Nothing there seems out of place, except it is interesting that this time when Jesus entered the city, he came in by the sheep gate. I don't think you need a PhD in biblical studies to guess that this is probably where they brought a lot of the animals in to go to the temple. And if this is where a lot of sheep have entered, then that means there's also going to be a lot of sheep you get the picture. It's probably not a great smelling place. And adding to the dynamic, Jesus walks in where there's a pool, and it's a pool where a great number of people used to lie. Later in the story, we get a clearer picture of why. There was a superstition of the age that an angel would come down and stir the water, and whoever the first person was who got into the water, they would be miraculously healed. And so day after day, year after year, men and women of all ages would lie around this pool waiting for their chance. Picks up the story and says, one who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him, "Do you want to get well?" "Sir," the invalid replied, "I have no one to help me into the pool when the water is stirred. While I'm trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me." And then Jesus said to him, "Get up, pick up your mat, and walk." And at once the man was cured, and he did exactly that. When I try to recreate this picture in my mind, it seems like a pretty hopeless and depressing place. Think about it. Men and women just gathered around this pool, this man for 38 years, waiting for someone or something to change his fortune. A lot of us have felt a sense of that hopelessness and depression in the past 8 months. We've constantly been bombarded day after day and week after week with challenging health and economic news. We have a lot of questions that are going through. When will this end? Will there be a vaccine? When will my children go back to school? Will I have a job in 6 months? You add to that some rather intense cultural unrest to go along with a very contentious presidential election. And yes, we have certainly got a taste of the despair and hopelessness that these people felt years ago. Yet Jesus has a curious way of entering into the conversation with this gentleman. He asks him a question. And a question that at first glance may appear shallow or insincere. He asks him, "Do you want to get well?" Now, I think the obvious answer for this man, as well as for each of us, would be, yes, of course, Jesus, I want to get well. Why wouldn't I be here if I didn't want to get well? But I learned long ago that when the God of the universe asks a question, it's not because he's looking for a bit of information. He asks a question to get to the core of our own hearts. Do you want to get well? Interestingly, the man doesn't answer the question. He doesn't raise his hand and say, "Yes, of course I want to get well." Instead, he goes into his long rehearsed speech that I'm sure he's given many times before about how he's not able to get in the water and someone else gets there first. He's not aware that the one he's speaking to has both the power and the desire to change his situation. I think we see similar reactions from many of our battered and broken adolescent friends. Some have unique physical challenges like the man in this story, and I'm so thankful for our Capernaum Young Life leaders who enter into the world of young people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and share the hope of Jesus with them. There are countless other kids who suffer at the challenges of economic or emotional deficiencies. There are kids who, by the color of their skin or cultural differences, don't have the same opportunities as the kid sitting beside them in class. And of course, there are many kids who don't show any outward signs of pain and abandonment, but have the hidden scars, the invisible ones that cut much deeper than any physical injury. And to each of these kids, Jesus, he desires to ask them, do you want to get well? Do you want to be made whole? Do you want the life that I always intended for you to have? Because I have the desire and the power to do just that. And as long as there are kids who don't know that voice, who do not know that He is seeking them with reckless abandon, there will be Young Life leaders who will continue to show up in the world of kids. We may not be able to go into the lunchrooms right now or stand on the sidelines like we normally do on a Friday night. We may have to reconstruct what a weekly club looks like or spend more time on Zoom than any of us would ever hope to do. We may have to wear a mask in every encounter. We may have to postpone our beloved camp trips until a more suitable time. But we will never, ever stop pursuing kids. Just as Jesus pursued us, we will continue to enter into the messy places so that we can introduce adolescents to the one who wants to make them well. And now I want to invite you in to hear from 4 women as they invite you into their stories.
So actually, my freshman year of high school, I got invited to Young Life by this senior girl in my computer applications class. Her name was Cynthia, and she was like, come to this thing called Young Life. I'll pick you up. And I was a freshman. I was like, game on. You're going to pick me up. I'm in. I'm go to whatever you're talking about. So showed up at this Young Life thing, and I remember it being wild and so fun, and there was just something really uniquely different about it. And there was these like college-age kids there that I guess were the Young Life leaders, and I didn't really know what to think about them. I thought they were kind of cool. They were fun. They were funny. We laughed a lot. And then I remember my Young Life leader getting up to give a talk at the end, and she started talking about Jesus. And I remember being really weirded out by that.
On the first day of school, I was sitting in the cafeteria with my friend, and we said, we have to go find this girl, this Young Life girl. Where is she? We ran out of the lunchroom, and there she was standing between the 2 buildings. And I just remember how excited she was to see new faces.
It was close to the end of my freshman year, and my friend invited me to go to Campaigners. And it was the first time I had really done anything with Young Life. And I remember walking in, and my Young Life leader that I didn't know yet was in there, and she was so excited to be there. My first impression of my Young Life leader was that she was really enthusiastic, and she was excited that we were all there. And she was so welcoming and just excited that we all came and that we could all hang out, and she really just wanted to be our friend.
My Young Life leader really had a massive impact on me and my first impressions of Jesus, really, and helping me understand what he was all about. I remember her showing up at my softball games, and I remember thinking, gosh, there's something different about her. The ways that she showed up, her consistency, her faithfulness in my life, taking interest in me when it didn't quite make sense. Why did she take interest in me? Why did she want to show up at my practices, my games, and invite me into her life, her apartment, all these different things to do life with her when she was in college? But it started to connect that maybe there was something different about her. If she was willing to take interest in me, maybe Jesus saw me as valuable as well.
Before I met my Young Life leader, I felt like I knew who Jesus was, but I had no idea what it meant to have a relationship with him. She showed me that there was something more than what I was settling for.
If I need anything ever, I can just text her, and she was always there to talk through whatever I needed. And she's still there for me always. And she taught me that Jesus is just like that, and that he just wants to be in a relationship with me, and he wants to be my friend so that I can go to him about anything.
My Young Life leader, big time, had a massive impact on who I am today, because I remember graduating from high school and thinking about going to college, and it was a no-brainer to me that I wanted to be like her. I wanted to show up in the lives of high school kids, and so I knew I wanted to be a volunteer Young Life leader when I went to college. It was one of my greatest goals, stepping onto college campus, and so that continues on today. Going on Young Life staff right out of college, I still am reminded by her faithfulness in my life. Gives me faith as I walk alongside of other people's lives, because I would have given up on me right away. But she didn't. She kept showing up, and it reminds me to keep showing up when it's hard in the lives of my high school friends.
I wouldn't be the person I am today if it hadn't been for my Young Life leader. Through her, I've seen more of Jesus' heart for things and how he's radically inclusive, and the way that I've seen her do that for kids like me has made all the difference.
My name is Davis Potter, and I'm thankful for my Young Life leader, Parker.
Hey, I'm Parker, and I'm thankful for my Young Life leader, Taylor Ferguson.
I'm Emily, and I'm thankful for my Young Life leader, Megan Hardy.
I'm Graham, and I'm thankful for my Young Life leader, Dave Donnelly.
I'm Lindley, and I'm grateful for my Young Life leader, Hillary Blakely.
Hey, I'm William Burns, and I'm thankful for my Young Life leader, Parker.
I'm Elena, and I'm so thankful for my Young Life leader, Courtney Ewing.
Hi, I'm Eva Holler. I'm a senior at Forsyth Country Day School, and I am thankful for my Young Life leader, Abby McMullen.
I'm Abby McMullen. I graduated from Mount Tabor High School in 2017. I'm now a senior at Wake Forest and a volunteer Young Life leader. I'm thankful for my Young Life leader, Jess Barnhill.
Hey, I'm Jess Barnhill. I graduated from Leesville Road High School in Raleigh. I'm now on Young Life staff in Forsyth County, and I'm thankful for my Young Life leader, Lisa Anderson.
My name is Lisa Anderson. I went to Hoggard High School and then graduated from the North Carolina School of Science and Math. I was a volunteer Young Life leader at Leesville Road High School, and I'm thankful for my Young Life leader, Debbie Cameron.
Jess, thank you for inviting us into those amazing stories. And thank you for continuing to invite kids into the story that the God of the universe is writing in their lives on a daily basis.
Thanks, Andrew. This has genuinely been one of the greatest privileges of my life, continuing to be in the lives of kids in this community and to continue to walk alongside of people that have been with us for years.
Many of you have walked with us literally for decades so that we can continue to reach kids. And in 2020, we faced one of the most difficult financial challenges we'd ever faced.
Yeah.
But we were able to walk through the most recent fiscal year with every dollar raised that we needed to continue ministry. We also had the difficult conversations of, do we need to cut back? Can we even continue what we're doing in such a difficult time? And I'm so pleased to share that our committee wanted to step out in faith and not step back, not even remain the status quo, but to actually increase our footprint in this community.
And in an amazing testament to God's faithfulness, we've been able to go from 5 full-time staff to 6, and even add an additional part-time staff while not having to change our budget very much. It has been incredible to see how God has provided for us in this season. In a pandemic where so many nonprofits had to reasonably cut back, we've been able to maintain, sustain, and continue to show up in the lives of kids.
And it is a top priority for us to continue to be good stewards of the money that you are willing to invest in this ministry. And we want you to know that we're going to use your donations wisely and to make sure that it focuses right here in this community impacting kids. So will you join us as we continue in this journey to share the good news of Jesus with adolescents? If you're at a watch party, hopefully you got one of these banquet programs that are so excellently done. We'd encourage you to pull them out, because as you open it up, you'll find that we have a tearaway pledge card right here. We'd love for you to fill out your information so we can know who you are, your email, all those good things. And then you can prayerfully consider, how would you like to make a donation to Young Life? On the back of the card, there's ways to get involved. We're always looking for folks who have a passion to join us, whether it be on a support team around a specific school or ministry, being involved with our golf tournament, caring for leaders, so many other ways. But Jess, what if someone wants to give right now online?
Perfect. You have the opportunity to give online through our website, which is right down on the bottom of the screen. And so all you have to do is click that and follow the prompts of what's next.
We'd like to thank all of our hosts who made this evening possible. Thank you to everyone who stepped out, who invited people in. We know they'd be happy to answer any questions that they have, and if they can't answer, they'll send it to one of us who can.
And again, we are super grateful that you guys decided to join us in this 2020 hybrid banquet. It has been a great gift to be with you guys tonight. We love you, we appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you again face to face soon.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
See you later.